I, like millions, have watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and it was eye-opening. And some of it was really, really scary. Some of it was intriguing, and a lot of it was troubling. And I think everybody should watch it because I think it is. I think it's spot on, and it's coming from the very people who've created these platforms and the people that know how to suck our eyeballs in. But as I was watching it, and they touched on certain pieces of what I'm about to share, but what it did for me was crystallize something I've been troubled by for a while. And I've actually mentioned it on the show multiple times, but I want to reset it. The real social dilemma that social media is creating is that social media is changing the real you. It is confusing who you really are. It's confusing you. It is confusing your identity. It is stifling your voice. I just want that to sit for just a second. All right, now, how is it doing this? Two ways. The real problem with social media is two things. Number one, the very nature of social media is that when we engage in it, we go from whatever we're doing to, let's use the device as the example. We go into the device and we get into it, and we are instantly consuming everybody else's thoughts or preferences before we even formulate our own thoughts or identify our preferences. Because we are essentially becoming a voyeur. Tweet, Facebook post, Instagram post, TikTok, whatever it is. We instantly become consumers of other people's thoughts, preferences, artistic expressions, political opinions. You get it. And our brain is a supercomputer. So we consume all of these things. We've got all this intake. And when we intake and then actually reflect on what we've taken in, and I understand with every post, we don't actually let every post absorb into our brain, but many we do. And now it's in there. And now what we focus on changes how we act. What we think about is how we act. It's that simple. It's not my opinion. Neuroscience backs that up over and over and over again. So that leads to the second problem. Our tribal nature. As human beings, we all want to belong. Period. We just do. We want to belong to a tribe. So, it's like why women go to the bathroom together, right? They can't go to the bathroom on their own. They got to go with at least one other gal. It's why dudes, can't go out and do yard work without running into another guy, and you stand on the street and solve the world's problems for 45 minutes. We're all tribal. And we desire to belong. So now take that really pure human element that we all desire to belong to a tribe and combine it with social media, that as soon as we go on social media, we see everybody else's thoughts and we see everybody else's expressions and opinions and everything else. And we go, oh, wow, this is trending right now. Why is it trending? And we look and we go, oh my gosh, a lot of people think this. Should I think this? Do I think this? I'm keeping it real, aren't I, folks? And so that's the social dilemma. Is that when we combine that desire to belong with this consumption of everybody else's stuff, we get confused. Well, I don't know that I think that. I don't know if I believe that. That doesn't upset me. Should it upset me? And all of a sudden, There's unbelievable confusion happens, and guess what that leads to? I'm afraid to take a position. I'm afraid. What do I do? Oh gosh. Okay, I just got to go along with it because I don't want anybody to think that I don't belong, and I don't want disapproval, and I don't want anybody to criticize me. And so you begin to believe things that you haven't thought about. You begin to act in a way that you don't even truly understand because you simply want to belong or you don't want to stick out from the crowd. So what's the solution to this? I'm going to give you 4 things that I think you need to consider and do. Number 1, when you're engaging in social media and you see something that's trending or there's a pattern and it's a thing and it instantly doesn't feel right to you, you've got to listen to that, and so you ignore it. You got a couple options. I'm going to give you 4 options. Number 1, ignore it. I see stuff on social media all the time and I immediately go, that doesn't square with me, don't make any sense to me, I don't believe that, and I just go, boop, done, ignore it. I'm not even going to engage in that. I'm ignoring that. Moving on. Number 2, if it intrigues you and you go, I haven't thought that, I don't know that I believe that, but it doesn't feel off to me, it doesn't immediately give me a whoa, lean into it and research it. Don't just assume that because somebody else said it differently or thinks differently that you're wrong or that you don't have the right perspective, but research it. Dive in. There's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy. Number 3, filter it. If something is said or something is put out there and you don't have a big, that's not right, but you actually understand the issue and you don't need to research it, but it's different, but there's some of it that makes you think, filter it. Take the part that makes you think, that makes you consider. And that's another positive reaction. And then 4th, stop looking to social media for that tribal belonging. Oh, see, so you can do all 3 of these, or you can do none of the first 3 and just do number 4 and just start to go, you know what? I'm going to limit my social media intake. I think that's probably what the social dilemma folks would tell you. But again, as I started this off, the real dilemma is that you are losing your identity. You are losing your voice because you're so hung up in what the masses are saying and doing. So stop looking to social media for belonging and actually find men and women who think like you and act like you or have similar desires and ambitions and goals and values. That doesn't mean you wall yourself off from the rest of the world. But birds of a feather flock together. That's a thing, and it should be a thing. It's what makes this world so beautiful. But we live in a day and age where it's now a social offense and a social crime for you to go, you know what, this is what I think, this is what I believe, and I like to hang out with those people who think and believe that too, and I can think what I think and believe what I believe and do what I do and also not violate your ability to do it. But don't shame me because I'm not like you. It's time for us as people, citizens of this glorious creation called Earth, to wake up to what's really going on. And while social media has its positives and has its power that can be used for good, one of the real negatives has been the loss of true identity. And that is what I'm concerned about, because I know that you were uniquely created to fill a unique role in this world, and you don't have to have everybody else's approval, and you don't have to fly or swim with the crowd. In fact, march to the beat of your own drum. And to be able to do that effectively, you got to understand that social media can take that very identity away from you, and you don't even realize it. Consider that.